Bonjour and welcome to today's French lesson on C clauses. Last time I was talking to you about certain kinds of C clauses and they were called the first conditional. I promised you a lesson on second conditional C clauses, so that's what I'm going to provide you with today. If you missed the lesson on first conditional, then you can just follow the link that I've put down in the description of this video and you can have a look at it. Okay, so this lesson is meant to accompany the written lesson that you'll find on my blog. I think you'll find it most helpful to be able to read along, look at the examples, see how the verbs are written, etc., etc. So, in order to do that, you can also follow the link that I've put to my blog down in the description of this video. As usual, I've created some Quizlet study sets for you to practice and master this new skill in French. At the end of the lesson, and after you've practiced your skills on Quizlet, you can take a quiz, and it's right there on my blog at the very bottom, just beneath the video link. All right, so here we go. Put me on pause. I'll give you a chance to go over to the blog, and you can read along with me during this lesson on the second conditional. All right, so here is a brief outline of what will be covered in this lesson. First of all, we'll talk about what a C clause is. We'll talk about what tenses are used in the second conditional type of C clause. I'm going to provide you with lots of examples. Like I said, Quizlet study sets are provided to help you master this new skill in French, and then there's a quiz at the end. If you are a French teacher following this lesson, you might want to check out some additional resources that I have available just for you, and the link is there on my blog. Okay, so what is a C clause? Just real quickly, the word C means if in English, and so C clauses are used to express what could happen if a condition is met. Now, there are all different kinds of C clauses. As I mentioned before, today we're going to talk about one type in particular, and it's going to be the type where we talk about if I were to do something, what would happen? So in other words, today we are going to be using the C clause that incorporates the imperfect tense and the conditional. So if you're not too sure about those tenses in the first place, maybe it's time to take a step back and have a look at one of my tutorials on both the imperfect and the conditional before continuing, because you do need to know how to use those, how to form those tenses. All right, so here we go. We are going to talk about this imperfect and conditional type of C clause by going through some examples. And I've written the examples here for you both in French and in English. Okay, so the first one, si j'allais en Espagne, je mangerais des tapas tous les jours. So notice in the C part of the sentence, the C clause part, I'm using the imperfect. That's always going to be the case. You don't have to start out with the C clause. You can put it at the end. I could have just as easily said, je mangerais des tapas tous les jours si j'allais en Espagne. So if I went to Spain, that's the imperfect. If I went, here's what I would do. I would eat tapas every day. So have a close look at how the imperfect and the conditional tenses are formed there, in case it's been a while since you've looked at those. And you notice that the endings are the same for the imperfect and the conditional. Here in the je form, the ending is AIS, but the stem is quite different, right? Remember how to form the imperfect? You look at the new form of the verb in the present tense. So the new form of the verb aller is nous allons. You take off the ONS and you're left with the stem, which in this case is ALL, and then you add the imperfect endings, AIS. To form the conditional, usually, I'll say usually because with regular verbs, here's what you do. You start, your stem is actually the whole infinitive of the verb. And then look, the ending is exactly the same as the imperfect ending, AIS. All right, I'll go a little quicker through the rest of the examples. Si j'avais un souhait, ce serait de parler couramment le français. How many of you wish that? If you do wish that, then you're doing the right thing by listening to this lesson. If I had a wish, si j'avais un souhait, it would be to do this. To do what? Ce serait de parler couramment le français. So here I put the verb être in the conditional, and your être stem for the conditional is SER. It's irregular, of course. Okay, the next example. Si tu n'avais qu'une sœur, tu ne serais pas obligé de partager ta chambre. Si tu n'avais qu'une sœur, if you look at that, the C part of the sentence, the C clause part, again, as always, we're using the imperfect form of the verb. Now, have you ever seen that? Ne, que. The ne and the que, that means only. That's a way to express that if you had only one sister. Some of you probably are using the word seulement to mean only, and you can do that as well. I could have said si tu avais seulement une sœur, but it really is more common to use this ne que. So if you're not used to it, you can have a look at the video lesson that I made on negation, 12 different kinds of negation. You just put the que in instead of the pas, and then it means something different. So if you only had one sister, you would not have to share your room. So the words that I've used here to express you would not have to, it's the verb être, être obligé, and that's used a lot in French as well. Être obligé, or in this case, ne pas être obligé. It's like I'm saying you wouldn't be obliged to share your room. D'accord? But that's not really how I would translate it in English, because that's not the way I speak in English. Allez, the next one. Si j'étais toi, je ferais plus attention à ma santé. Si j'étais toi, if I were you, imperfect, je ferais plus attention à ma santé. I would pay more attention to my health. In the infinitive, that would be faire attention. Faire attention. So that's the conditional form of faire in the je form. F-E-R is your conditional stem. Imperfect ending, A-I-S. Alors, si tu faisais tes devoirs comme il fallait, tu n'aurais pas de mauvaises notes à l'école. Si tu faisais tes devoirs comme il fallait, tu n'aurais pas de mauvaises notes à l'école. So if you did your homework like you're supposed to, look at the verb that I've chosen for like you're supposed to. Comme il fallait. That's the verb falloir. And in the beginning, we're used to using this in the present tense. And when I tell you what it is, you'll say, oh, that's that verb in the imperfect. It's il faut. Il faut. You know, il faut means it is necessary. And when we put it in the imperfect like this, we're making it in the past tense, okay? So if you did your homework like you were supposed to, you would not have bad grades at school. D'accord. Okay. So the next one. S'il avait mal à la tête, il me le dirait. S'il avait mal à la tête, il me le dirait. So if he had a headache, he would tell me. In English, we can just say he would tell me. But in French, you need to have that direct object pronoun le in front of the verb. It's as if you're saying he would tell it to me. You have to have the it in there. So voila, if you look there, you also get a little review on the order of pronouns. You have the me, which always comes before the le. Okay. The next example. Si nous étions en France, nous irions à la Côte d'Azur. Si nous étions en France, nous irions à la Côte d'Azur. If we were in France, we would go to the Riviera. La Côte d'Azur is the Riviera en français. So that's the verb aller. Irions, nous irions is the verb aller in the conditional. The irregular stem is IR, and then, as usual, you're going to add the imperfect ending to that to make it sound right and look right. Okay, if we were in France, we would go to the Riviera. Si tu pouvais faire le tour du monde, par où commencerais-tu? Si tu pouvais faire le tour du monde, par où commencerais-tu? If you could travel around the world, so that's faire le tour du monde. You have le Tour de France, and then you have le Tour du monde. Si tu pouvais faire le tour du monde, par où commencerais-tu? So why did I put that together that way? Par où commencerais-tu? It's like I'm saying, by where would you begin? Or where would you start? I just want to throw in a few different ways of saying things. I figure if you're watching this lesson, you're not a real true beginner in French, and so it's nice to push you a little bit. If you have questions, if any of this, anything at all is confusing, make sure you ask me in the comments. I'll be happy to answer. But I am sort of putting these sentences together, these examples, to challenge you a bit in your French, okay? Si vous trouviez un sac à main dans la rue, qu'en feriez-vous? If you found, si vous trouviez, imperfect, un sac à main dans la rue, qu'en feriez-vous? What would you do with it? So, feriez-vous, this is the verb faire in the conditional, irregular stem, F-E-R, imperfect ending, I-E-Z. Why is the in there? That's a pronoun, that's an adverbial pronoun. And what we're using it here for is to express, rather than just what would you do, what would you do with it? So the is the with it part. And then the last example. Si tu étudiais plus, tu saurais plus de choses. I like that one. Si tu étudiais plus, if you studied more, tu saurais plus de choses. I wanted to show you this verb savoir in the conditional because it also has an irregular stem, S-A-U-R, and then the imperfect ending. If you studied more, imperfect, tu saurais plus de choses, you would know more things. Voilà. Okay, so I've just brought you through a number of examples. I hope that they've been helpful to you and that they've also served to give you a little review on the imperfect and the conditional. Now what you can do is you can go over to the Quizlet study set by following the link either here on the blog or down in the video description. If you haven't yet signed up for my YouTube French class on Quizlet, it's free. You just have to go on and ask to be a part of that class. I'll approve it, and then you can start practicing right away. And this is not the only study set that you'll find there. There are lots and lots more where that came from. After you've gone through the study set and practiced it a little bit, then you can come back over to the blog and take the second conditional quiz, which, like I said, is located all the way down at the bottom, just beneath the video link. And so on all of these, we're following the same pattern. We're using the imperfect tense in the si clause part of the sentence, and then in the other clause, in the result clause, we're using the conditional. Voila, so that's it for today. I sure hope that this has been helpful to you, and let me know if there's anything in particular that you would like for me to cover in my lessons. Next time, I will be covering the third conditional, and that's the one where you use the plus que parfait along with the conditional past. So hopefully you'll look forward to that. Maybe brush up on those tenses a little bit before the next video comes out. Et voilà. As usual, I want to remind you that if you're interested in taking private French lessons with me on Skype, that's what I do, so I'd be happy to hear from you. Just drop me an email through the website. Ok, merci beaucoup et à très bientôt. Au revoir.